Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Exotic Astrology. We had discussed the transit of Rahu into the sign of Aries in a long detail for every ascendant. So, if you have not watched that video, then please go and watch it. You will find it in my channel. But what we need to also discuss is the transit of Rahu through the nakshatras, right? Because nakshatras are finally something which ultimately culminates into a zodiac sign. Therefore, it's very important we understand the flavor of the nakshatras if we really want to understand the flavor of the zodiac sign. So, therefore, today we shall discuss about Rahu's transit into the Bharani Nakshatra. So Rahu Ketu are always retrograde, as you know, right? So therefore, generally planets move from Ashwini to Bharani, then Kritika, but now Rahu is moving retrograde always. So now Rahu is going to enter Bharani Nakshatra after some time, around depending on if you take true nodes or mean nodes. So you could say around 14-15 June or 12-13 July, around this time. So you could take for an estimate mid July to be on the safe side, or you could take mid of June. Since this time to February next year, which is 2023, Rahu will be in the nakshatra of Bharani, right? So Bharani Nakshatra is a very interesting nakshatra because as yesterday I had uploaded the video on Venus Rahu conjunction in the sign of Aries. So in that I said that Bharani Nakshatra is a very interesting nakshatra because it is a nakshatra of restraint which comes in the sign Aries, which is related to starting new things. So it's like starting something new but putting the pause button or sometimes the stop button. It's the nakshatra of endings, right? So how does it work? Why is the nakshatra which signifies endings present in the sign which shows starting something, right? Of course, you could have said that, oh, maybe if it was before the sign of Aries, then it would have meant, oh, something is ending and something new is starting, right? But then Aries shows initiation, the nakshatra Ashwini. But what does Bharani show? How is it that? So does it mean that anything which starts in Ashwini will end in Bharani? Then that's like the end of the cycle, right? Something starts and something else ends. But that's not what it means. It means when you start something in Ashwini, right? Then you got to come to Bharani, which is the nakshatra of ending. So what do you end there? It means we end our old thought process. We end our old patterns which were not benefiting us in the long run, right? So therefore, whenever a planet is transiting Bharani, you will always realize that you are forced to give up something which you know deep down inside that it's not going to work, but we think that maybe it will work someday, if not today then tomorrow. But that's the thing about Bharani, it sometimes never works. But then the question is, what will work? Well, we got to understand that if we still decide to stay in the past, we will always remain in the past, right? So therefore, whenever we are starting something new, we have to understand that we will have to do something which we never did, right? As they say, if you want something which you never had, you must do something which you never did, right? So therefore, whenever a planet transits Bharani, you will be forced to look deep down within, and you will be forced to introspect and check what is that I am doing consistently which is not giving me any results, right? So therefore, we have to understand that Rahu is going to stay in Bharani Nakshatra, which means Now, what does Rahu Ketu represent? They represent boundaries, basically, right? So, in numerology, they represent the number 4. And when I talk of boundaries, they represent physical boundaries and intellectual boundaries, emotional boundaries, mental boundaries, right? Boundary of anything, basically. They represent borders, basically, right? So, therefore, if you are running Rahu Mahadasha or Antardasha, then this is going to be even prominent. Then you will be forced to give up boundaries related to those areas which Rahu controls in your chart, right? And of course, now you may be thinking, but this transit is going to be same for everybody, right? Same in the sense it's transiting. It will transit Bharni for everybody, right? All the 7 or 100 billion, million, trillion people in this world or in the other worlds also. So how is it going to be different for me and everybody else, right? So the short answer is it depends on your dashas. So if you are running the Mahadasha, specifically of Rahu or Antardasha or any planets which are conjunct Rahu Ketu, then you will feel the effect of this transit quite significantly. Otherwise, also you might feel, but it may not be very significant until. So, if till February next year you do not have any Rahu Pratyantar or Antardasha coming up or Mahadasha coming up, you may not feel the impact of this transit in a life-changing way, right? Now, does it mean that anybody who has Rahu Dasha is going to have benefits because of this transit? Well, certainly, but provided you change the old patterns and you take up new projects, right? So, therefore, whenever planet transits Bharani, we have to understand that we have to introspect our habits. So Bharani Nakshatra is the nakshatra which says that I will give you success, but incrementally, right? It's not something like Ardra Nakshatra where there is overnight success, right? Which means you have to understand that it doesn't matter how fast you are going until you are going, right? So it is important that you understand that small things in life, the atomic habits, are something which will end up giving us success eventually. So if you feel when Rahu enters Bharni, if you feel that, oh my god, life has become difficult, it seems my friendships are breaking, my marriage is breaking, my career is breaking, everything is breaking, my health is breaking, so and so. So whichever area of life you feel is breaking or is not working, you got to ask yourself, what are the habits that I have in my life which are associated directly or indirectly with that particular event or that particular area of life. So, for example, if you have problems in your career, then it could mean that you are not disciplined at your work, right? You are using social media, Rahu can show social media, or this obsession to prove everybody that I have the best life in the world, I am the best, right? But if you do not have discipline when you are working, you are into social media, right? You are trying to prove rather than to improve. Should I repeat? You are trying to prove rather than to improve. Of course, it's also important to prove yourself. Nothing wrong against that, but the best way to prove yourself is to always improve yourself, right? So therefore, if it's marriage, then it could be that you are not communicating properly with your spouse, you are not taking care into the expectations of your spouse, right? And that is why there is distance and you feel that maybe my marriage is not going to work. Or if it is with your health, then what are you eating, what are you exercising, when are you sleeping, how good is your sleep, how good is your friend circle, right? So irrespective of whichever area of life it is, which you will anyways come to know when this transit happens, it's like a short way of saying, right? Then you got to ask yourself, what is that one thing that I can change today? because this is not an easy transit. I'm making it very clear. It is not an easy transit. It is not a transit where you can just pray to God and some magical thing happens and the gods will appear from the sky and bless you. Oh no, that's the last thing that happens in Bharni, right? The gods take away all the blessings sometimes. So therefore, whenever it's Bharani, you got to understand that I will only be successful if I make small changes. But today I got to ask myself, among all the things that I want to change, what is that one thing that I can change now, today, at this very moment? Not after 10 years, not tomorrow morning, not from Monday. Now, what can I change, right? So if you feel that your sleep is not good, maybe it's 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. or maybe it's 3 a.m. in the morning, and you are still watching this video, then stop it now and go to sleep. Just cut it, doesn't matter. Watch it tomorrow, right? So whatever is that call within you that tells you that yes, this is one thing you can change, right? That is the thing you should start changing with. And then gradually, after a week, ask yourself, what is the next thing that I can change, right? And then gradually, by the time February, March next year will come, you will realize that yes, I made some serious commitments and I made certain changes in my life, because of which I am now in a much better situation. And that's the beauty of this transit. So people ask me, what will happen after this transit is over? When Rahu goes to Ashwini, what will happen after February 2023? And I'm like, well, it depends on you what happens, right? Of course, you can always say, oh, but in my horoscope, this was indicated, which is, destined. I anyways can't do anything, right? Well, even if you say that, who created that problem? It was you in the first place, right? Because of your own karma, this problem is coming. So either it's destiny or whatever you want to blame it upon. You got to understand that you are the creator of your own destiny. So if you have screwed up something, then you are the only one who can improve it, right? So focus on the atomic habits and do not expect quick results, but expect incremental gains, and that is the way you will be successful. So be disciplined, take your time and ponder upon and make the right choices. All right. So if you're new to the channel, then please subscribe to it down below. And if you want a consultation from me, then you will see the website down in the description section. God is there with you all the time. Just look to him and you will find him. Thank you.